Laura. My name is Laura, and today we're going to be talking about Betty White. When I channeled her, I'd like to make a disclaimer first before we begin that if you're a big fan of Beatrice Arthur, you might find some of the things I'm saying offensive, and you might even find some of the things I say about Betty offensive. Of course, that is never my intent. You know the saying, don't shoot the messenger? Yeah, don't do that. I just get the messages. I'm just a channel, just a conduit for the energy. And then I just repeat what I'm told and what I feel, especially with what I feel, because my biggest gift is clairsentient. Even though I have all the clairs, clairsentient is the most prominent. So we should begin. I realize I haven't made a video in a very long time, but I've been super busy with clients and giving Reiki, distance Reiki, and giving mediumship readings. So I've been pretty busy. And just a disclaimer, if you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my Facebook page, check out my business Instagram page, and they're listed below. Unfortunately, my GoDaddy website does not work, so don't even bother going to that one. And yeah, it's the easiest way to do it is through social media these days anyways. So anyway, let's get to it. So when I called in Betty, first of all, let's acknowledge the passing of Betty White. Right before New Year's Eve, she passed away at 99 years of age. She was, I think, 17 days short of her 100th birthday. You know, people really, really mourned her passing. I must be honest, I was pretty upset when I heard it because if you know me, you know The Golden Girls was always one of my favorite shows. And if you check out below on my channel, I think below in the description, but if you check out on my channel, I channeled Rue McClanahan a while ago. It's just really, really sad. But she doesn't want us to be sad. So when I called in Betty, she was sitting on a couch. It wasn't in the same room as me. Usually when I channel, they're usually in the same room as me. But with Betty, it felt like an interview where she was in a different location, distance. It was kind of weird. I don't think I've ever had that before when I channeled. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had that before when I've channeled. They're usually in the same room as me, but Betty was not in the same room, and I wonder if energetically she's at a distance from everybody, and that's what that means. Honestly, I'm not sure. I do know that she was wearing like a teal, sort of mid-light to dark blue vest. It was sparkly. She had on black slacks or black dress pants, if you want to call it that. Not sure what the color of her shirt underneath was. She was showing me her current age before she passed. Well, you know what? That's subjective because when she was 99, she still looked 70, right? She still looked like 80 or so. So I'd say she was about 80 to 90 years old when I saw her, because sometimes when spirit comes through, when I channel somebody, they could look like when they were a child or when they were younger or when they were older. They can even change their hairstyle a bit and their hair color and things like that, the way that you want them to see you. She was sitting on a couch and she had her legs crossed and her hands were cradling her knee. So I'm getting some specifics here, right? And kind of to my disappointment, she seemed kind of like she didn't want to be channeled. She seemed kind of like she wasn't really ready to talk. I got the vibe that she was been there, done that, really grateful to have lived her life, but doesn't really want to go over it again. So I expected Betty to be bubbly and happy and excited to talk, but she actually wasn't. She was kind of more like tired she doesn't like people to make a fuss about her. I don't know if that's a well-known fact or not, but she much preferred people to not fawn over her. So when she passed away and she saw that people were really devastated about her passing, she was kind of annoyed, which is not something I expected. She was like, I don't want people to mourn my passing. I want people to acknowledge that, I don't know how to word this. I don't want people to mourn my passing. I want people to like have acknowledged that I had a really good life. How many people can say that? She said. She was like, how many people can say that I've had the best possible life I could have had, lived to about 99 years old. I was even smart enough to have written in my soul contract when to exit New Year's Day. What could be better than that, she said. And then she's like, right before the 100-year mark, she's like, would it really have made a difference if I stayed to be one more year older? She's like, not really. She's like, I did all I was gonna do. I accomplished everything in my bucket list. I had a positive outlook. I lived healthily and I passed away in my sleep. She's like, what could have been a better way to go? And so when she found out that people were upset about her passing, she's like, what are you doing? I want you to be happy about my passing. It's a celebration of life. It's not something to be upset about. So she was annoyed in that way when I channeled her. And so she doesn't really want to be fawned over. She loved her life. She doesn't want people to misunderstand. She loved her life. She had a great time, but she doesn't really want to sit around and talk about it anymore. I don't know if Betty White ever met Elton John, but there was a few times where Elton John was popping up and I have no idea what that's about. So when I edit this video, I'm going to look into that and maybe I'll find something. She also wants you to know that when you're mourning her passing, it's kind of bringing her back into the physical, and she doesn't want to come back into the physical. She's had a great time, but she wants to leave it at that. Fun fact, this is completely random, but my dog finished eating when I was in the presence of Betty White, and he was very gassy. And Betty thought that was hilarious. As we all know, Betty really enjoyed animals and being, especially dogs. She had a lot of dogs and rescues. And I don't know if it's well known or not because she's such an extrovert and so bubbly, but she said she preferred dogs to people. I got you, Betty. Elton John's sad songs, they say so much. I'll have to look up the title. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything. I know that a lot of times when I channel, I get songs as well. I think, yeah, there's got to be a message in there somewhere. So I'll try and see if I can take anything out of the lyrics to explain why that song came up, because it usually correlates. So Valerie, I don't know her last name, but when Betty was in Hot in Cleveland, I apologize if I butchered her name. No disrespect meant. There was a TikTok made where Valerie was talking about not being comfortable with her body, not loving where it is at that time. And Betty wanted to say, stop doing that. That there's nothing wrong with your appearance. You're beautiful just the way that you are. And she was kind of getting on her soapbox a bit about Hollywood industry and how like crooked it was in society and their take on what beauty is, especially women. I don't know if this is a well-known fact or not. I don't think it is. But Betty knew how to play her cards right, and she knew how to pick her battles, so to speak. So there's a lot of times, she said, especially when she started out, there was a lot of times when women, if you wanted to keep your job in that industry, you do not speak up. And she was one of those people, but in secret, she really, really resented how a lot of the men especially spoke to her and other women. And she really resented the amount of body shaming and the amount of diet culture from back then to now. And she's realized the degree of what was considered beautiful with women in their bodies when she first started. And then because she started when TV first came out. So she really is an icon and a trailblazer. So like, she saw all kinds of things, but she kept her mouth shut. So she was very smart in that way, even though she was a huge activist. So yeah, just to clarify, she doesn't want Valerie to feel bad about her body because she said she's beautiful and there's nothing wrong with the way she looks and that she's sorry she feels that way. But really, it's almost like other people's insecurities where she feels that way more than her actually feeling that way. That's what's been influencing it is, you know, that ego-based voice from other people. It's not really her voice, if that makes any sense. Kind of like when you're an empath and most of your feelings and thoughts are not really yours. And you have to differentiate between your shit and other people's shit. Pardon my French. Betty also is kind of very straightforward when she said, I lived the life I lived the way I wanted it to, fully. Not many people get to do that, especially in such a tough industry. And she crossed everything off her bucket list. No regrets, no apologies. And the song You Don't Own Me came up. And in my head, I got the First Wives Club, where they're all dancing in the street, which is something I don't think we see too many sides of. She could be spunky, which I really like, but she didn't show that very much. She's seeing that there's more and more movement of rights for women's bodies, especially being more accepted, and not just in comedy but in serious roles. And she's seeing more and more different standards of beauty, different skin tones, different cultures coming out and being more accepted. It's like, it's about damn time. So she's seeing that in the next 10 years or so, there's going to be more like women rights movements. People are going to take women more seriously. There's going to be, in the next 5 years, I'm getting a few more directors being exposed for just being complete trash. But really, is that a surprise? Like, do I really need to be a psychic medium to tell you this? I mean, you can, if you look around, you can see that already. There's a lot of trash out there and that needs to be cleaned up. Here's the part that I think people aren't going to like hearing. In Rue McClanahan's book, she mentioned that behind the scenes, the Golden Girls were not close. Rue would hold parties and she'd have to like beg Beatrice to come out and hang out with her because Beatrice didn't really want to, and when she did, she made it all about herself. She really marveled in the attention, and she was a theater snob. So because Betty was in television, Beatrice started out in theater, therefore Beatrice was like, I'm the real deal and you're nothing. And when Betty won an award one time, Beatrice could be heard saying that bleeping "see you next Tuesday" got an award that I should have gotten. And that's pretty telling that behind the scenes, Beatrice was actually really intimidated and jealous of Betty. And the fact that Betty was well liked and Beatrice felt like she worked harder and it didn't come as naturally to her in some regard. Therefore, she should have had more recognition than what Betty got. So there's a lot of comparison there. And comparison is a thief of joy, as we all know. So it didn't shine Beatrice in a very good light, even though with the Golden Girls, the very person that wanted Beatrice to play Dorothy was Rue. Because they were friends, they were in Mama's family. and they were good friends. But after during Golden Girls, they kind of weren't friends because Beatrice had a big ego. She was very difficult behind the scenes, and even though she was a bit of a hypocrite because Estelle had huge stage fright and a severe phobia of death. She had a few phobias, actually. I could relate to Estelle in a few ways, but anyway, this isn't about me. Estelle had such severe stage fright that she psyched herself up so much, they ended up needing cue cards. She forgot her lines. She almost couldn't go on stage. The show almost fell apart in the first season. A lot of people don't know that. And so Betty, Eddie Rue, and Beatrice were all kind of cringing, but Beatrice didn't give her a hard time. So why was she giving Betty a hard time? And Betty told me, I didn't know at the time why she gave me a hard time. I was genuinely confused because I really wanted her to like me. But now looking back, I realized it was because I occasionally passive aggressively would pull pranks on her. And I kind of knew she didn't like it, but I did it anyway because I wanted to get a rise out of her. And so Beatrice took that, and in her perspective, she took it as Betty's trying to stir the pot and start shit with me. She doesn't like me, and now I'm gonna have my guard up, and I don't like her, and I'm gonna make things difficult for her. So it was all of these different perspectives that come to light, which was very interesting. And that information in the book actually helped me as well with channeling to find out some extra stuff that I didn't pick up on. Although most of it I picked up on, I wanted kind of more specifics because some of the stuff was coming in a little bit vague. So that helped clarify some stuff. Betty says that the only thing she's kind of upset about is that Beatrice really misunderstood her. And, well, I'm being interrupted right now, actually. She's saying that I'm not upset now, but I was upset then. So I'm okay with it now. I let it go. Okay. So just to clarify, she's not upset now. Like, just behind the scenes, I was just so disappointed with the facade. They were such good actors. Even in interviews, Beatrice and Betty knew how to play the game because they seemed really close, but they're just really good actors, which is unfortunate. And they did that for two reasons. One, PR. They knew if they were fighting, it wasn't going to be a good image for the show, and viewers wouldn't want to tune in as much. They're going to be disappointed. And then the next thing is Beatrice was difficult. So if she wanted to put on a facade that she was happy, because she could be very passive aggressive and aggressive herself, Betty would play along because she didn't want to piss off Beatrice. If you piss off Beatrice, you pay the price. And so as amazing as of an actress as Beatrice is, and she is super talented, I do feel she should have gotten more recognition. She didn't go about it the right way. And that's where my problem is with her. A lot of them in the show were a lot like their characters, but Rue was the one that was the peacekeeper, trying to get them to get along. She wasn't choosing sides. She liked them both, and she was trying to get them to get along, and she didn't want to be a part of the fighting, and it made her anxious. Also, I just noticed, this has nothing to do with channeling, but I think it's so cool. Speaking of Betty White, somebody was checking out my Instagram account with a verified check mark, the stories, and this person met Betty White. Like, she had a picture of Betty White, and I'm like, what are the chances? And I think it's because of the comment I made on Kyle Richards' post about Betty White. So that's pretty cool. Betty also kept talking about the Lawrence Welk Show, and I'm not sure why. I think she was a guest on it. I'll have to look further into it, and if I find anything, I'll post it in this video once it's edited. But I'm wondering, I know there's some sketchy characters years later where there's some sex offenders and stuff that were on the Lawrence Welk Show. So I'm not sure if that's what it is, or if Betty saw some stuff she wished she didn't see, or if she just had like really good experiences. I'm getting a mix of good and not so good. So I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that. I'll do the best I can. I can't guarantee I'm going to get all the information. But that is my video, and thank you for watching, and happy 2022, I hope. Thanks for watching.